Hi, everyone. This is Robin Nielsen, and this is our Tuesday tip PCOS here on Facebook Live. I'm so excited to be here with you today. And today it's all about birth control pills for PCOS, what you need to know. Because birth control pills are prescribed very commonly for women with PCOS. I thought it'd be an awesome topic. And it's so great to be here with you. So if you're joining me, I'd love to hear where you're from. That's always a super great place to start. And maybe if you want to share like what a few of your PCOS symptoms are, that gives me a great idea of sort of what you're struggling with and what you hope to overcome. And so I can then, kind of add that into to what I'm talking about today. So just love to hear from you. Elizabeth posted, I have my TSH blood test, all the tests you need to let me know what is what. So Elizabeth, I did respond to you. And so check your email. All right. And it's great to see you here as always. So welcome. So great to have you all here. And please like and share. And if you know someone who is on the birth control pill, we know, oh my gosh, I was on the birth control pill and so many women are on birth control pills. It'd be great to share this with them right now so that they can join in. And if they can't listen now, they can certainly listen later. All right, great. So there's so much going on here at Insulite. We always have so many great things happening. We're going to have actually a 30-day weight loss challenge coming up starting March 1st. So hopefully you can get in on that. Weight is also a really big concern for many women with PCOS. And it really has a lot to do with the fact that at some point you just really easily gain weight, and then it's really hard to lose it. Or, of course, as I like to say, release it, because when we lose something, we want to find it again, right? And we certainly don't want to find that extra weight back. But what happens is there's a metabolic problem that's going on. And so it's really hard to release weight, and then it's hard to keep it off if you do. And a lot of times we feel like we have to go to extreme measures to release the weight. And that's when, life really gets hard. And so I'm going to give you some great tips to make some really good changes there. Awesome. So hi, Wendy from Nebraska. Awesome. Do IUDs make a difference too? Yes, they do. Yes, they do. So especially if they have hormones in them, which I think most IUDs do have hormones. I know that there's the copper IUD that of course does not. So anytime you introduce something new into your body, it's going to make changes, right? So the idea is it's going to block conception. And so it does that in a number of ways. But I'm not an expert on IUDs, but they are similar to birth control pills if they have hormones, which a lot of them do. So keep in mind that then the conversation is very similar. What kind of IUD do you have? Hi, Dominique. Where are you from? Would love to hear where you're from. All right, so let's dig into birth control pills. And again, I'd love to hear what your challenges are. What are your health challenges with PCOS? That's really, really important to understand. And then I can sort of gear the information to that. It's really interesting. So before I sort of blow the lid off of birth control pills, which is the information is, to me anyway, it was shocking, like all the information that I learned about birth control pills. But I know that when I took them, I actually took them for birth control. And oh my gosh, I think I was 19 years old or 20 years old, and I felt like I blew up like a balloon. I felt really fat and heavy, and I felt really inflamed, and I just felt so sluggish, and I felt terrible. And I think I was on them for 3 to 6 months. And oh my gosh, I finally just said, this is not working for me. And my boyfriend at the time agreed that, it was not a good solution. And so thank goodness I got off them and never used them again. So for birth control, I just ended up using the diaphragm and then condoms really for all my married life. So Erica says, I bleed all month and birth control is the only thing that controls it. Okay. So you just need to get your hormones balanced, right? That's the goal here, is to figure out how to get your hormones balanced more naturally. But, there is a time and place for birth control pills if, number one, that's the only form of birth control pill or birth control that you feel works for you. So then, I would say you just have to understand all the risks and then do what you can to mediate those risks. And then, no judgment here. You just have to do what's right for you, for sure. But knowledge is power, right? So just being here and understanding about birth control pills and then looking at some alternatives, right, is so important, because then you can make a conscious decision and then also support your body around birth control pills if you decide that that's really the best option for you. So in our community, with our PCOS 5-element system, it's a great environment for you to get off your birth control pills if you're using them to regulate your cycle, which is, what most women use them for, at least in the PCOS community, for sure. So if that is why you're using them, then the PCOS 5-element system is a perfect place to help yourself get off them and to regulate your cycle, right? Let's see. Erica says, I became very anemic because I would bleed all month. The birth control didn't work this month much. Yeah. So birth control pills, what they do is they actually don't help you to have a regular menstrual cycle. What they do is they just kind of fake your body out. And they disrupt the feedback loops in your body so that you end up not having a cycle. You actually do not ovulate with birth control pills, which is a little bit of a misconception, because women often think that if they have a regular cycle on a birth control pill, that it is a normal cycle, but it's not at all a normal cycle. So it's a chemically induced cycle that actually causes you not to ovulate, and that's why you don't get pregnant. And then it kind of just, messes up all of your feedback loops. And I'm just going to share kind of all the things that it does to your body and how you can support yourself around that. So Rebecca says, I was the same with Erica until I got my IUD. Okay, so great. So awesome. So there's a nice conversation going on here. And I know that you ladies can support each other a lot around what you've tried, what's worked for you, what hasn't. But let's dig into birth control pills a little bit. So I'm going to give you sort of some information that is just astounding around birth control pills. So, I'll just start with nutrient depletion. So we know that, nutrients are really important for our bodies. That's the raw materials that our bodies use to function, right? And let me just share with you some of the nutrient depletions that birth control pills cause. So they cause, it's really, let's see. So there are a number of nutrient depletions. There are about 9 to be exact. So the key ones are folate. So, and folate tends to be a real issue with women with PCOS anyway. So folate is a nutrient depletion, vitamins B2, B6, B12. So a lot of the B vitamins, vitamin C, Ne, and minerals, magnesium, selenium, and zinc. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So those are the main ones. And those are so important for your body. And what's interesting is that not only does it tend to lower zinc levels in your body, here's what's so interesting is that oftentimes women with PCOS are super low in zinc and magnesium already, and that's why you experience some of the symptoms you experience. And the birth control pills make it worse. And so zinc is responsible for helping to build progesterone, right? And progesterone is usually what's super low in women with PCOS. It was for me, right? So that's why I was so irritable and cranky and and gained weight and had acne because I was low in progesterone and I was low in zinc, right? So birth control pills make that worse. And unfortunately, they raise copper levels. And when you raise copper levels and you lower zinc, you're putting yourself more at risk for cancer, right? As well as birth control pills also are a synthetic form of estrogen which also raises your risk for cancer. And then there are other reasons why your cancer risk is increased as well. Iron, right? Iron is super important, especially if you're having a menstrual cycle, and especially if you're having very heavy bleeding. You're going to be potentially very iron deficient, and birth control pills will make that worse for sure. And then vitamin C, vitamin A. Vitamin A is another one too. So actually, vitamin A is not depleted with birth control pills. They actually have found that vitamin A levels tend to be higher in women who use birth control pills, and so what that might cause, so vitamin A is really great. It's great for so many different things. Let's see that so it's interesting because vitamin A tends to go higher in serum, but it tends to be lower in your liver, which could create a nutrient deficiency. So that is kind of an interesting anomaly there. So you could test for high vitamin A levels, but then actually your liver levels of vitamin A could be low. So again, then you would need to supplement with some vitamin A, and then that can cause, it's interesting because sometimes birth control pills are used to improve acne. And sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. So let's see. So I wanted to share some really interesting facts about birth control pill. Any interesting like thoughts around nutrient deficiencies here? Magnesium, is depleted with birth control pills, and it's essential for over 300 enzymatic reactions in the body. And so if you are deficient in magnesium, you're going to notice so many side effects. A lot of side effects if you're magnesium deficient. I can think of like constipation, tight muscles, pain in your muscles, poor sleep, poor brain function, because magnesium is so important for so many things. Welcome, Lavinia from Sulawesi, Nariro. Is that correct? Is that where you're from? Yeah, welcome. So great to have you here. So birth control pills, they can cause a lot of digestive problems. They can cause leaky gut. They actually can mess with your microbiome, which is all the beneficial bacteria up to 5 pounds in your gut. So birth control pills raise estrogen. They disrupt the thyroid on every level. So we know that women with PCOS tend to have poor thyroid function anyway, right? There's a much higher percentage. In fact, women in their 30s are 5 times more likely to develop a thyroid condition, especially if you have PCOS. But if you're on the pill, it really compounds this. So thyroid problems can really exacerbate. And I think that's how it was for me, is that I gained so much weight. My metabolism just kind of shut down when I was taking the birth control pill. So it can turn on certain autoimmune diseases like Crohn's. So Crohn's is a digestive disease, right, of the digestive tract. So if you have Crohn's in your family, right, if you have a family history of Crohn's disease, you are 300 times more likely to develop Crohn's. Crazy high. And in a study of over 1,000 women, it increased depression. Pretty powerful. So it's so interesting. So our mitochondria, there are little powerhouses of energy in our cells. And when our mitochondria get messed up, it's when we don't have energy. So you might feel fatigue or low energy. And so as a result, your mitochondria just are not functioning properly. If you're on the birth control pill, it really messes with your mitochondria, and it changes. And here's something super, super interesting. So birth control pills are going to potentially lower energy levels, lower metabolism, really change a lot of things. And it's so interesting because birth control pills will change the way a man smells to you. So women unconsciously choose a mate based on a man's smell. Isn't that interesting? So I chose my husband based on how he smelled to me. And the science goes something like, we choose a mate based on smell because that'll make the best babies. So if you are on the birth control pill, it changes the way you smell a man, right? So you could be on a birth control pill when you choose your mate, but then when you decide to go off the birth control pill, all of a sudden you're not attracted to him anymore. That's pretty profound, right? So if you are not married, being on the birth control pill is not a great choice, right? Just because you want to be able to pick the right mate based on proper smelling. Pretty amazing. Yeah. What do you think about that? And if you, if you were on the birth control pill when you chose your mate, then just be aware of that, right? Just be aware that you might perceive them a little bit differently, when you go off the birth control pill. It raises sex hormone binding globulin, which is a really important marker that affects our testosterone levels. Let's see. So there are just a tremendous amount of women on the birth control pill. There's some statistic that says 11 million women are taking the birth control pill. What's interesting is that the birth control pill raises inflammation and it raises insulin resistance, right? And we know that in women with PCOS, there is an underlying inflammatory problem going on anyway. And so birth control pills will make this worse, okay? And it will make insulin resistance worse. Definitely the case for me. It raises fibrinogen, and fibrinogen is a blood clotting factor. So it potentially can cause your blood to clot more easily, right? Which will increase the risk of stroke, heart attacks. It can cause immune system chaos, and that's when I was talking about raise autoimmune conditions if you are predisposed to those. There are no studies on what it does to your brain long term. So birth control pills and brain function has not really been studied long term. So that's something that you would want to look into, right? Really, and understand. Anytime we take medications, you want to know exactly what they're doing for us. And some things we just don't have long-term studies on. But we know that birth control pills are synthetic estrogens for the most part. And synthetic estrogen, it just has, we just know, science tells us that studies have been shown that they are just more cancer-causing and just more unhealthful in so many ways. So it's going to imbalance your progesterone, right? And usually progesterone is already too low in your progesterone to estrogen ratio. So it's just really important to look for ways to increase progesterone, because that'll help you to have a more regular menstrual cycle, and actually decrease estrogen, or at least the more potent estrogens. And then you're going to be able to get a more regular menstrual cycle, whether you're not having one at all or whether your menstrual cycle is just too heavy, okay? Let's see. So it actually can lower testosterone. So birth control pills can lower testosterone. So if you feel like you're crying a lot, that means that's an indication potentially that your testosterone is a little bit lower. if you are using birth control, is anyone listening who is on birth control for, are you on birth control pills for birth control? There's a great article on our website about some different birth control methods, and I list my favorites. So definitely take a look at our website for birth control methods. I think that you'll love some of the options there, and the Daisy thermometer is one of them. Oh my goodness, I wish that I had that available when I was still menstruating, because I would have loved it. And we actually kind of did the rhythm method a little bit. You know, if you know when you're going to ovulate. With PCOS, it's tricky because a lot of women don't ovulate, or it's so irregular that it's hard to keep track of. But the Daisy thermometer is amazing for that. And all you do is just take your temperature every morning. It's a little expensive, so I think it's over $300. But our team figured out that if you have a health savings account, an HSA account, or a flexible spending account for your health care, then Daisy accepts that. So it'd be an amazing thing for you to try. Wendy says, I do not have periods any longer. It's using progesterone cream okay? Yeah, I like progesterone cream. The only thing I don't like about progesterone cream is sort of all the other stuff in it. So I will post a link for you of the progesterone that we use that is bioidentical, which is what you want to look for. And it doesn't have any additives that I don't like. So I actually just, use it on my arms or thin-skinned areas of the body, and it'll help you to raise progesterone. It's really awesome. And 3 months now, but not had any bleeding. Okay. So Famita says, been on birth control for 3 months now, but not had any bleeding. So meaning you have gone off for a week and you haven't had a cycle start? Is that what you're saying, Famita? Just clarify that for me. Okay. And then Famita also said, what about curing hirsutism? So that's a great question. And that really is, let's see, we don't have a call on that yet. But I will definitely talk about that. So it's very similar to acne, because what's happening is it's going, your hormones are being metabolized down a similar pathway to acne when you have facial hair growth or hirsutism. So it's down the more anti-inflammatory pathway. We call it the DHT pathway, Famita. And so you want to block that pathway by reducing inflammation, reducing insulin resistance, reducing cortisol, bringing progesterone up, right? It's all the 5-element system. So, using food as medicine to balance hormones, and using movement as medicine, and nutrients, replacing missing nutrients, right? All those things that we do in the PCOS 5-element system will help with hirsutism. Spearmint tea really helps with that. It takes a while, right? You want to allow at least 3 months, 3 tea bags a day of spearmint tea. But there are a lot of other things, foundational things that need to happen to really block the dark vellus hairs, right, from coming, the terminal hairs. Yeah. Ashley says, my period never likes to come no matter what I'm on. It's been maybe a year. All right. Thanks, Ashley, for sharing. And we've had a lot of success in our PCOS 5-element system with helping women get their menstrual cycle regulated, whether they have a heavy menstrual cycle, they're not ovulating, or they have no menstrual cycle. It's really helped a lot of women. What I've noticed, though, is that when your cycle is dysregulated, a lot of times it has so much to do with your sensitivity to stress. So a lot of women who have menstrual dysregulation are very sensitive to stress. So it's really sort of getting a handle on time management. We had one woman in our community. She is absolutely adorable. She's now pregnant. Right. So she went from not having a regular menstrual cycle, not ovulating, to then having a regular menstrual cycle. And then all of a sudden it didn't come. So she was really concerned. And I said, okay, what's happened in your life? What's changed? And she said, well, it's been really, really stressful at work, right? I'm getting less sleep. I'm not eating right. A lot has changed for me. And I said, okay, so you got to get back on track. I don't have that little book in front of me, but there's a really great book from a colleague of mine. I'll put it on the screen for you. And this might help. So it's by Dr. Pedram Shojai, The Art of Stopping Time. He's one of my favorite people in the whole world. We call him the Urban Monk. That was his first book. And you might want to get that because, you know, if you have any menstrual irregularity problems, you've really got to become sort of an artist at taking back your time, making time for yourself, making sure that your body is nourished in every way, right? That's the most important thing. One of the gals who now is on our Insulite team, she actually worked for me years ago. And then we had sort of lost track of each other. And one day I got a private Facebook message from her that said, hey, Robin, I see that you're, that you're the CEO at Insulite Health, and I'm trying to get pregnant, but I'm not ovulating. I'm not sure if I should go another round of Clomid. I think she had taken 4 rounds of Clomid. She said, what should I do? And it was so great to hear from her. And I said, hold on. I said, get on our 5-element system. Give it a couple of months, and then let's reconnect and just, give me your feedback. Let's see how it's working for you. And then you can decide, right? And so it was so amazing. So after 10 weeks, she sent me an email and said, I'm pregnant. And oh my gosh, she was 5 months pregnant. So keep in mind, she'd worked for me before. So she was pretty good with her diet. She wasn't great, but she was pretty good with her diet. And in just 5 weeks on the PCOS 5-element system, she ovulated and got pregnant. So it can happen pretty fast, right? Getting your cycle back on track, but you also have to pay constant attention, right? Let's see. So you can find the book. Ashley asked where you can find the book, The Art of Stopping Time, and you can get it right off of Amazon. And yeah, Ashley, I completely understand. She said, I'm 31. This just isn't fair. I want my family. I understand. So we are a little baby factory here at Insulite. We have a really great track record. In fact, we have a number of gals who are expecting right now. And really it just comes down to giving your body what it needs to conceive, which is kind of cool because you want to get healthy to get pregnant, and then you want to be healthy during pregnancy so that you can make a healthy baby, right? Yeah, that's really important. Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing. So Famita says, 7-day break free, but not having periods, suffer from PCOS, but not had any periods for 5 years. Okay, so not sure what that means, 7-day break free. Yeah, so we just need to, get your body all the raw material it needs, right? So your body is not going to have a period if it's too stressed, because you're too busy. Your body is trying to survive. And so if your body's trying to survive, it cannot thrive, right? You cannot make babies. You cannot make your sex hormones if you're too busy running from the tiger. So let me give you an example. I love this example. There's a book called, let me just look up this book real quick. There's another book that I think is very interesting. It's something like, oh shoot, let's see. Let me just type in. It has zebras in the title. Oh, I can't remember what it's called. But anyway, it's about zebras. The book's not about zebras, the title is. Something like why zebras don't lose their stripes. I don't know. But it has to do with how stress works. So if you can picture like a herd of zebras on the Serengeti, and their heads are down and they're eating grass, right? They're happy, they're content. They're in what's called the rest and digest mode. Okay, so they're in their hormone balanced place. They're eating, they're in a herd, they're all together, they're happy. And then all of a sudden, one of them, or maybe a couple of them, senses a lion. And now all of a sudden, all of them perk up, right? They're on alert. Now they go from rest and digest to fight or flight mode. Okay, so let me just put this on the screen real quick. Rest and digest versus fight or flight. Okay, those are our two different nervous systems. Okay, rest and digest versus fight or flight. So the zebras were in rest and digest because they were eating, they were happy, they were all content. But now there's a lion. So now they're in fight or flight. So once they recognize that there's a threat, they raise their heads, perk their ears, and they take off running. So now they're in fight or flight mode, and they run until they feel like they're safe. And then once they feel like they're safe, they quickly drop their heads and start eating again. So now they're back in rest and digest mode. So animals have this amazing ability to go back and forth between the parasympathetic nervous system and the sympathetic nervous system. So they can go from rest and digest to fight or flight, and then back to rest and digest, then back to fight or flight. But people can't. We cannot do that. So if you are having trouble with regulating your menstrual cycle, it's because you are in fight or flight mode too much of the time. And that's elevated stress. That's all that is. So you have to take a look at how to reduce the stress in your life and how to raise your progesterone levels, because that will help you manage the stress. How to support adrenal function, how to support thyroid function, right? Get all those beautiful raw materials back in your body. So we've had some great posts here. Post your colleague's book again or link it here. Yeah, I'll send you the link. I'll just post the link to The Art of Stopping Time. I would love to do that. And Erica Marie says, I have never been diagnosed with PCOS, but have all the symptoms. Yeah, you don't need a diagnosis. You just need to do something, right? And you're here, so that's a great start. In fact, I have some beautiful mineral broth that I'm drinking right now. It's so delicious. So I just throw... I think this one, I was intending to just make mineral broth, but I had a chicken carcass. So I threw the chicken bones in my crock pot, and I threw a bunch of vegetables, parsley, a whole onion that I just cut up and left the skin on, a whole, a bunch of garlic. I just cut it in half, threw it in parsley, a ton of greens, carrots, celery, parsnips, turnips, you name it. I threw it in there and then covered it with water and cooked it for about 12 hours. And I got some amazing mineral broth. So this is something that could really support you. It's actually on our YouTube channel. It's on our website. Just type in broth and I think bone broth will come up. But we also have just plain mineral broth recipes. Right? So you can definitely, if you're a vegan or vegetarian, you can also just do a mineral broth. Oh, it's so nourishing. It provides so many nutrients. So let's see. So Ashley, you're asking how much is your plan? So I'm wondering if you're referring to the PCOS 5-element system. I'll just provide a link for you, and then you can learn more about that. Famita, I'm going to give you the link to, I think you asked about the cream. So I'm going to give you a link to our natural progesterone, also the PCOS 5-element system, helps to balance estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. So it'll help you to raise progesterone and modulate estrogen and testosterone so that your hormones will be more balanced. So it's a great place just to start with the PCOS 5-element system. And then what I do is once you've done that for a little while, then I can give you next steps if you still have things that you want to work on. For a lot of women, it takes care of all of their issues. So it can be really helpful. Let's see, I missed one. So Amber says, I'm 32 and having a hard time losing weight. Okay. Yeah, so that, and are you on the birth control pill, Amber? That would be really good for me to know. Great. All right, so I want to just share a few more things about birth control pills since that's our topic for today. And I might want to make sure that you have a really well-rounded idea of birth control pills and what you need to know. So let's see, what do you, hold on just a second. So, yeah, so one of the nutrients in our 5-element system is Vitex. And Vitex is amazing because it stimulates luteinizing hormone to make more progesterone. And it's a really cool herb that does so many amazing things. But the reason I love it is because it helps to raise progesterone and helps with that progesterone to estrogen balance. And I mean, I just love it. It's one of my absolute favorite herbs. So that's some great information on Vitex. And let's see. And progesterone also helps GABA work, which is gamma aminobutyric acid, which is actually our calming brain chemical. So that's what keeps us relaxed, calm, happy. And a lot of times we just don't feel that way. I mean, I know I felt so irritable and so grumpy and angry a lot of the time. And that's just because my testosterone levels were too high in relation to my progesterone. That's all that it meant, right? It didn't mean that my testosterone was too high. It just meant that my testosterone was too high compared to progesterone. And now I can tell in a heartbeat if that's the case. And then I can just, supplement with some extra Vitex is basically what I do. Or I use bioidentical progesterone that I can show you how to get. So let's see. Yeah, so one thing that this doctor, who was really teaching me a lot about birth control pills had shared that I just loved is that, mothers are the seeds of the soil, and we need to really stop medicating our moms. We need to, as women, we need to bond together and really support each other to build. That's what the communities around the world do who live healthier and longer than anyone else. We really support each other. And that's what we need to do. We need to stop medicating ourselves and figuring out what is it that we're missing. Why is our body behaving this way and how can we change it around? And detoxification is so important. We had a detox program last month and, it's important because a lot of estrogens come in through the environment. And that's what causes us to have these wacky menstrual cycles, right? Really heavy bleeding over a long period of time. The xenoestrogens that are in plastics and makeup and everywhere, And so there are a lot of aspects to this, but the bottom line is you just want to support your body where it is and help to bring it up and feel better. Okay? Progesterone therapy can be so important. And you just get so much more inflammation with unopposed estrogen. So when you're on the birth control pills or if you have an IUD that has estrogen in it, then you're just going to be much more inflamed, much more insulin resistant. So you probably noticed that a lot of your symptoms have gotten worse. So I don't know if you know Angie in our community, Angie Rohal. She is a co-director of customer care, and she does a lot of our posting on Facebook. So most of those posts come from her. She's really amazing. And she's done Inspiration Hour, and she shared how she was on 9 different birth control pills to help her manage her symptoms of PCOS. And she gained 70 pounds, right? 70 pounds, until she finally had to figure out herself that that was not the right direction for her and that she was going to have to find a natural solution. So that's why these Tuesday tips are so important, is because I'm trying to shorten your learning curve, right? So for me, it took me years to figure this out. For Angie, it took her maybe 9-10 years to figure it out, right? So if I can help you in a year or two, how cool is that, right? So that you can suffer a lot less than we have. And all of the gals on our team have had PCOS or have it and have their individual stories for sure. So I just wanted to see, yeah, so those are really all of my notes on birth control pills. What questions do you have, and what comments? Yeah, so Amber says, I'm extremely sensitive to birth control pill. Yeah, and the IUD was awful for me. So you're kind of lucky in that, like me, the birth control pill just, made me feel so awful right away that I just couldn't do it. Because, I'm doing what I'm doing because I want to feel fabulous, right? I don't want to feel icky ever. I want to be able to do what I want to do and get out there and have fun. And I had brain fog for so many years, and I was heavy, and I felt like I was slogging through mud so much of the time. I couldn't get off the excess weight, and I had terrible acne on my face and my chest and my back. And I'm so over any of that, right? No, I don't want that. I don't want that for you either. So these little meetups are fantastic to help us to figure things out and to support each other. And look at all the beautiful women who have joined today. Ashley and Amber and Elizabeth and Famida. I mean, Erica. Just, it's fantastic. And so you can draw from one another, right? You can support one another. Share what you've tried and how that worked for you and what you've learned. And in that way, we can really help to come around to a natural solution and feeling better, without the use of drugs or chemicals that sort of change our biological pathways and deplete nutrients, right? I'm sure I missed someone. Wendy, I missed you, and Dominique. So great to be here. So Amber asks, what would be a good diet and exercise? So what specifically are you asking about, Amber? I just have to go back to, I'm not sure you ever said what your symptoms are. So in our PCOS 5-element system, we actually share, we teach you about a hormone balancing diet, right? That's what we're all about. So we teach you how to eat for hormone balance and how to exercise for hormone balance. Let's see. Yeah, because that's what, that's how you need to support yourself with PCOS. And quite honestly, any woman needs to support herself that way, and any man for that matter. So if you look at some of the most popular, popular books of all time that have helped people really heal well, they're all about hormone balance. And the hormones that they're balancing are insulin and cortisol, because those are your major hormones. If you balance insulin and you balance cortisol, which is your stress hormone, right? Now your sex hormones become balanced. You start producing them more regularly and more evenly, right? Because in PCOS, a lot of times we're producing, it's not that we have too much testosterone. Sometimes we do. But it's that we're metabolizing it down a more potent androgenic pathway that causes facial hair, acne, and hair loss, right? So if we can lower our stress, lower our blood sugar, right? Take better care of ourselves through what we eat is the most powerful. And a lot of times, if you're like me, I underate and over-exercised, right? And that just created more stress in my body. So we have to learn to eat better, make better choices, still yummy choices, because I'm all about eating very yummy food, In fact, I don't have it in front of me now, but I made in our VIP community, we made these chocolate cupcakes that are to die for, that actually help to, they're amazing. These cupcakes actually help us to turn on our fat burning genes. And so they contain food that actually trick our bodies into thinking that we're doing fasting and having a really good workout. It's so cool. And this is going to be part of our 30-day weight loss challenge inside our VIP community. So I hope you can join us there for that. And I'll give you more information on how to get connected. Lacey, great to see you here. Yeah, you're one of the lucky ones that birth control didn't work for you. So you didn't have to sort of figure it out the hard way. So Agnes, welcome Agnes. She said was put on birth control due to excessive bleeding. Lost half my hair in 6 years. Oh gosh, Agnes. Oh, it is such a blessing to have you here. Thanks so much for being here. Insulite helped me to do a cleanse and rid my body of the toxins that were causing the PCOS symptoms. I now eat for hormone balance and birth control free. My hair is growing back in. I feel better than I did in my 30s. Oh my gosh, that is such a great story. Thank you for being here and for sharing. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. So how long have you been doing the Insulite system, Agnes? Did you just join us for the detox? Your name is so familiar. I know that we've communicated. So share just a little bit more. How long have you been on the Insulite system? Would love to hear. Be great. And Ashley, oh, you're welcome. She said, thanks for everything. I'm just so grateful that you're here. So awesome. That's so cute. Yay, Agnes. Thank you, Amber, for being such a great cheerleader. Yeah, so great. All right, so so nice. So you're really connecting with each other. That's fantastic. Oh, you did it right before Thanksgiving last year. Awesome. Yeah, it's amazing. You know, detox sounds so not sexy, right? Oh, it's like detox. Who wants to do a detox? But I have come to really appreciate it over the years. With the detox, it's, you know, this is what we do in the detox. We do this great mineral broth, right? Agnes, did you do the mineral broth? Oh, and you did the adrenal cleanse. Oh, that's how I know you so much. Oh my gosh, so great. Well, you're a rock star. I mean, you're doing all the stuff right? And I learned from an endocrinologist. So she's a hormone doctor. And that's how I got on this path. She was my father's physician. And she was like one of the pioneers in functional support for diabetes, meaning she actually discovered how to help type 2 diabetics get off their medication and recover. And it ended up being like this anti-aging protocol that was phenomenal. She was one of the first doctors to really do this. And it was all based on eating for hormone balance, which was so cool. And then if you've ever heard of something called the zone diet, same thing. You know, the guy didn't want to die at 45 years old like his father and grandfather and uncles and all that. So he created a very similar program. And that's all that the PCOS 5-element system is. It's replacing those missing nutrients. And then it's teaching you how to eat so your hormones stay balanced, right? That's it. It's not rocket science. But you have to know that if you are taking a birth control pill because your menstrual cycle is not regulated, then you've really got to support your body to replace what's missing. Right? It's so important. You really got to nourish yourself. And I'll post the link for the Artist Stopping Time so that you can grab that book and get your time back. Because oftentimes, you know, we're just pushing too hard, and that's why our cycle is not regular. So let's see. So Avanthia, welcome. So great to have you here. So you have a lot of hirsutism. Okay, yeah. And oh my gosh, Agnes, thank you so much. Love you so much for giving me my life back. Well, you know, I'm sure that you've heard the saying, you know, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear, right? And that's how it was for you, Agnes. You were just ready. And that's how it was for me. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired, right? And so then that's when you do something. And we just have to, you know, we just have to find that motivation from somewhere. So great. Oh, now you have restless sleep. Well, I hope, Ivanthia, that you can join our PCOS VIP group, because I would love to support you there. I'd really love to support you. All right, ladies. Well, it's been amazing being on with you today. I've just enjoyed every minute, and continue to post comments. So if I didn't cover something, please post your questions. I will go through and make sure I answer every single one of them. Again, I'm just grateful to be here with you, and I will see you next Tuesday. Bye, everyone.